All right, it is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That is brand new stuff by one of my favorite bands out there, the great thrashers Havok. And on the phone right now, we've got the drummer of Havok, the one, the only, Pete Webber. Pete, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
Excellent, man. Well, Pete, got to say, man, Unnatural Selection pretty much continues the tradition of Havok. It's heavy, it's fast, it's it's challenging. It's just a great record, man. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, one thing that I noticed, Pete, from listening to the record is that while it does continue doing what you guys have done on the previous records, there's a lot of growth in both the songwriting and the structure. It seems like you guys really, I don't want to say grew up, but it just seems like there is some development in both areas. What changed since the last record where there is so much growth in both places? Time Was Up was mostly written,
pretty much entirely written by David alone, and without too much of me and Reese's input. And so, on this one we got a little more collaborative and, put a little more of everyone's musical style into the mix this time. So.
Sure. Now, one thing that is very noticeable, and this might be a David question, is seems like the discussion about politics, while you guys always have had sort of like a little bit of a veiled reference here and there, seems like it's just outward this time. It seems like it's very outwardly political in a lot of places. Was that on purpose, and is that because you guys are like into that a little more, or what?
Yeah, David likes to read a lot, and he wanted, the lyrics to be just thought-provoking and, not just political, but just have people think when they hear our songs and hear the lyrics. And, everything's, real life type stuff. There's no, nonsense about devils and stupid shit like that.
Right.
So, he wanted thought-provoking lyrics just because, he can do that because he's a singer of a band and, to get his own voice out.
Sure. Now, Pete, as a drummer, how difficult is it for you to get your pieces of the puzzle in? Because let's face it, thrash is a 4/4 thing for the most part. I mean, certainly there are a lot of timing changes and whatnot, which you more or less, control the ship, you rudder the ship, so to speak. But how hard is it for you to get your input in when the songs are developing? So if you've got like a fill that you hear or something that you hear in a melody, that you can add it and have them adapt to what you hear.
Yeah, I mean, you usually start a song out with, they compile riffs, they just record them. Every time they will make something, they'll just record a riff. And, we'll get like a basic drum groove down, and then David will usually map it out on like a drum machine app on his Pro Tools, so we can listen back and, figure out different parts that we can throw in so it's not, so we can jazz it up and stuff like that. So that's how usually that works.
Sure. Now, are you comfortable with the way that works? I mean, do you ever find yourself having to fight to get your ideas into a song?
No, definitely not. David trusts my judgment, I guess, when it comes to the drum. I've been playing for a long time, so I'll think of things that he might have not thought, type thing. So yeah, it's not like I'm not fighting to get my voice heard.
Sure,
definitely not.
That's cool, man. Now, one thing about Havok that I know, and anybody that knows anything about your band knows, you guys are road warriors, man. You guys, it seems like you don't even take time off the road. I mean, outward perception, it really seems like you never take time off the road. How difficult is that to always be on the road, and how difficult is that to keep creating new music when you spend 90% of your time on the road?
Yeah, like I said, as far as music making goes, when we're on the road, if we just think of something, you'll either just take out our phones and, just record everything. So we always have, material to look back on and start up, the new creative process whenever that may be for the next time around. But, we tour all the time. We enjoy touring, that's how we make our money nowadays, too. So, that's just what it takes, and, it's not for everyone, of course, and that's why a lot of people end up leaving bands and stuff, but, it is what it is.
Sure. Now you mentioned that, most bands these days, especially bands like yours that don't have, 30 years of history behind them, you make your money on the road. So, a big thing right now are all these online, type of station type things where, a Spotify or Mog or, iHeartRadio, all these different things where people don't necessarily have to buy your records anymore. Is that okay with a young band like you, or is that frustrating because it almost promotes not buying the record because people can hear it, legally for free?
Right. Yeah, I know those websites, like, they do pay bands, but it's very, very minimal. But that's just the way the times are changing. I mean, it's a step in the right direction for sure. Because, like you said, people aren't really buying as many records anymore. It's all becoming digital, which, but we're starting to see, like, some sort of profit in that direction. And still, like, the diehard fans are still buying albums. And this album recently sold, like, 4 times as many in the first week as time is up, so.
Oh, that's cool.
It's still good. It's just, for us, being on the road is definitely the most profitable area.
Sure. Now, how, talking about records and record companies and whatnot, how has Candlelight been to you guys? I mean, you guys are definitely, I don't want to say the oddball on that label, but for a label that's known predominantly for, doomy type, almost black metal type stuff, you guys certainly don't fit their norm, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, we wouldn't be where we are today without their help and, their distribution and stuff like that. And this actually was our last release with Candlelight, so we'll see where things go in the future.
Sure. Well, not that my opinion means anything, but Paula Hogan rules over there, personal friends, so,
Yeah, yes. Yep, they did us well, for sure.
Absolutely, man. Well, man, one thing that's going on today in the thrash metal community, the world, is that it's just changing right now. I mean, certainly there's a collection of bands like yourself or Warbringer or Lazarus AD or Municipal Waste. There's a new guard, so to speak, but the old guard is strong as well these days. Slayer, Exodus, Anthrax, are making big comebacks or having a big swell in their own popularity as well. But it is changing. I mean, clearly Jeff Hanneman passing away recently is a big deal, as would be Gary Holt now splitting duty between Exodus and Slayer. With all that said, what does that mean for not only bands like yourself, but for the future of thrash as a whole, with it changing so much?
Like you said, there's a few bands out there that I feel like will stick around and keep going. The like Anthrax and Testament and stuff, they have an upswing, but, they are all getting older and stuff too. So, I feel like in the next 5 to 10 years, hope to see, them pass the torch.
Sure. Sure.
So but we're gaining more ground, every day. So, things are looking up for sure.
Sure. Now, do you think that that's what's going to have to happen, though, for a band like yourself or Warbringer or whoever to make that next step? Is for the old guard to kind of step down and, pass the torch to you guys?
It kind of seems that way at this point, It's because, they're all getting the huge stuff and they're still doing it, so it's kind of like a waiting game.
Sure. Well, as long as you keep putting out good records, though. I mean, that's almost like the catch-22, isn't it, though? You guys are one bad record away from everybody saying, enough with these guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're, I'd say David's a main songwriter, and he's really got a good sleeve on his arm with that.
Sure.
So I think we'll be in good hands as far as that goes.
Very cool, man. Now, from listening to Unnatural Selection, one thing that really jumped out at me as very much a big improvement from Burn or Time's Up or even the EP is you guys got really, really good production this time. And I don't know if you switched producers or switched studios or a little of all of that or what, but it just seems like the production was a lot better. Did you guys see that, and what did you do different?
Yeah, it was all of that. We actually did do the guitars and the vocals and stuff at our home studio, but the drums were recorded in a theater in the Gothic Theater in Englewood, Colorado. And so So we got like a nice natural reverb sound from the drums because, that's kind of my style to hit really hard. So the theater was like a good atmosphere to get that sound from. And then producers, we used Terry Date, who's done Pantera and Overkill.
Sure.
And then it was mastered by James Murphy.
Oh, okay, from Testament and Death and all those bands, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's good. Between Terry Date and James Murphy, that's a lot of good ears to have on your music, no?
For sure.
Absolutely, dude. Well, man, you're out on tour now. What's going on currently with the band, and what's coming up in the near future for the rest of the year for Havok?
We'll finish this tour out in the next month. We're in Des Moines, Iowa tonight. Head through the Midwest and West Coast before we end up back in Denver in mid-September. And then more tours. We're just waiting for confirmations on some stuff, but we'll be on the road for the remainder of the year for sure.
Very cool, man. Well, dude, before I let you go, I got to ask you what is known as the traditional classic metal show question. We ask everybody this, and you may have an answer, you may not, but how has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career?
He's just a straight-up rock and roller, so I think anyone can get some influence from his wisdom and years on the road.
Sure, definitely. Well, all right, man. Well, as we said, the new album from Havok is simply called Unnatural Selection. It is in wherever you buy music these days. It's there. So go get it. And I'll tell you what, Pete, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing song from the new record. So why don't you pick a song to take us out and maybe tell us a quick story about it?
Sure. How about we'll do, let's see. I'd like to do Unnatural Selection, the title track, because I like the drum fill at the beginning.
All right, well, a little self-promotion for Pete with the drum fill right here at the beginning. It is brand new stuff from Havok. This is Unnatural Selection right here on your Classic Metal.